Welcome everybody. This is the progress video of the full teardown of the Dualtron Storm, presented to you by USA Minimotors and Minimotors NYC. Today our agenda is to tear down the Dualtron Storm fully so that you can see each and every component of the scooter itself, from the controller all the way up to the new folding mechanism. Right, so we're going to start with the bearing first. Right, so in order to remove this bearing, all you have to do is just turn the key and you can just pull it out. But remember, don't put it out too hard because there's a wire down here that you have to dismantle. So first pull this out, and here comes the bearing. So let's just put this aside. The bearing weighs about 26 pounds to be exact. Yes, it's pretty heavy. And now we have to remove the key because we don't need this anymore for the time being. So just don't lose this, because if you lose this, you have to change the whole lock system right here. So always remember to keep this in a very, very safe place. Right, now that we have the bearing out, we are going to remove the plate, the deck. This deck is a whole new deck that comes with rubber encasing it, which has a downside to it, because it gets a little bit dirty and dusty, because we've been riding this for weeks now. As you can see, there's a lot of dirt and dust over this area, which makes it very hard to clean. To remove all 2 screws at the front, 4 screws at the back, and 3 screws on right and left. Right, now that all the screws are out, how do you take this deck out? It's relatively simple. Take it off from the back first, and then from the front. It's going to pop out just like that. Alright, now a lot of people has been asking, what is this plate for? In fact, it is for the scooter itself as a damage prevention plate, because this part here is going to protect the scooter if the scooter falls. For example, this is what we call a slider plate. So if it falls, this will be the first part that gets damaged, like this. Even if you happen to drop the scooter, it's not as bad as you think, because you can just replace this whole plate on its own. But to replace this plate itself, it's relatively simple, because there is the wire slot right here, which you can just remove it and take this plate out. Very simple. As you can see right here, these are all the wirings. It features a horn, which is good for city riders because you'll be riding in traffic. A horn which is loud enough for cars nearby you to hear you that you're coming from your back. Right? Without the capability of horns, you're just gonna start crashing. Yeah. See converter here, which is basically to power up the LEDs with the LED controllers right here. And we have a new bearing plug here, which is huge. Features anti-spot, so that you do not have to worry about battery arcing if you try to plug it in. And then here we have the bearing cable and the phase cable. The phase cable features a larger phase cable, which is good, because in a way, compared to the Thunder, which is much more thinner, there are cases that we have phase cables that melt internally, and that will actually lead to burning up the motors because of the resistance. And we do have the bearing cable, which is right here. Right, so this bearing cable is thick right here, and this 2 bearing cable goes all the way into the controller. I gotta admit that the bearing controller is slightly thin, but these are PTFE cables. So basically, these cables, they don't melt easily, they don't get scratched easily, and you're in safe hands. With these 4 wires you see here dangling, these wires are relatively for nothing, because it actually represents the 4 pins that is right in the middle of this port. So don't worry about it, you don't have to do anything to it, you can just leave it there. So as you can see, we have an external connector for the bearing. So it's really easy to maintain the cable if anything happens. And at the same time, you don't really have to worry about anything else because these cables, these connectors, they are going to go into the hole here relatively easy. So it's really easy to maintain it like that because you can just put everything through. Compared to the Thunder, if you want to take out the face cable, you have to cut each and every cable. If you want to change the battery cable, you have to cut each and everything. So it's really, really difficult. For this, you just have to remove the heat shrink and remove everything. In order for you to remove the controller, there is a total of 4 screws right here that you have to remove before you can remove everything. Everybody is interested about the controller, so now that we have removed all 4 screws, this is how the controller looks like. The massive chunk of heatsink. So in order to remove the controller itself, you still have to remove the 2 screws at the back right here. You can see it. That will allow you to slide the controller out just like that. So let's just remove the 2 screws first. And next, you have to remove the 4 screws right here. See this? There is a rubber seal right here that keeps the controller perfectly waterproof. And when you pull it out, it's gonna be a what we call 2-in-1 controller. So before you start pulling things out, you have to make sure that everything is unplugged. From here, you will see there's yellow and black wires right here. You have to remove them, and you can just slide the whole thing out. So once after you remove these cables here, you can just start sliding it out like that. Okay, so this is the controller on its own. As you can see, this is a very massive controller because it powers up 2 motors at the same time. As you can see here, these MOSFETs right here, they are from a company called Minimotors. And these MOSFETs are really good. They are so much better than the previous MOSFET that they used in the Thunder, and these are really high quality ones. And as you can see, this chipboard on its own is specifically created by Minimotors itself. So these are not your generic e-bike controllers that you see outside. So these are really proprietary. And if you look at the glossy area right here, these are waterproofing for chipboards. Something like Corrosive X, which gives you even more protection on the board itself. And as you can see, the board will be able to take in more amperage because these are soldered into the board directly itself, where you'll be able to see the big plate of solder right here. These are where the face cable is gonna be running through. So in terms of reliability, this is good. This is a very big piece of heat sink for the controller, which drops the heat of the controller itself. And it's not exactly non-serviceable. And to me, it's relatively simple. If you have a light that is broken or out of service, you could have just taken this plate out, unplug the cables, remove the LED, put a new one in, and then plug it back in. It's just like that. But one thing that makes me very happy right now is the wire management, because it's not as messy as the Thunder, that's for sure. And if you actually do notice, these side covers, they are being secured by plastic clips right here, but right not, because they are in fact supported by 2 screws right here. So your side cover is actually mounted by clips to maintain the integrity of this light box, and at the same time being secured by 2 screws right here. So that makes things easier for you, because all you have to do is remove these 2 screws, slide it backwards, and you can pull this whole thing out. Compared to the previous Thunder, where there is 3 screws that is being mounted right here in the center, there is a high chance of people puncturing their bearing because it's in longer screws. So this is something that Minimoto has been trying to avoid for the longest time ever. And the reason of them not putting back the conventional 3 holes is because the side cover here has LEDs on it. And it wouldn't look nice if there is 3 holes right at the side covers like that. So it's always better to put just one slab of light box right here. So the lighting and everything can just run through one whole box secured by 2. So maintenance is easy. In the event if you crash it, if you scratch it, if you want to change it for the fun of it, all you have to do is remove these 2 screws, slide it backward, and you get everything out just like that. And all you have is just 3 wires that runs into that. So you do not have any issues with that. So let's just remove this cover and just take a look what's exactly inside it. As you can see that the side cover is now out. It's a little bit tight here, but don't worry about that. It's more of the issue. Once you remove the side cover, all you have to do is just remove this one from here and remove the connector from here, and you'll be able to remove this thing. Don't worry about this cover because this wire actually leads down to the LED at the back of the arm, right? So there is an additional port right here which you can undo this so that it makes swapping out the side cover much more easier. And if you wonder that this thing is going to break easy, no, it's not going to break because this thing is flexible. It's made of what? Oh, it's made of PU. So this thing is not going to break easily. And if you take a look inside, it's just one whole strip of LED. So for some reason, if something is going to break in here, you can just replace them by removing whatever that needs to be exchanged from the white socket right here. And if you're wondering what this big thing is, this is the new latest thing. It's the light that projects Dualtron Storm to the ground. So let's remove this one right here. Just be careful when you're removing wires like that because they are thin. You may have a chance to break the cable, so just make sure that the hot glue is completely removed before you try and pull this out. Let's take a look inside. This side cover is relatively simple. Just remove these 2 screws, flick it from the bottom, and you have your LEDs. These are a little bit different from the Thunders because usually for the Thunders, they have the power mode that goes into, they have the power supply that goes into this LED and that supplies the side LED strip. But this one is different, so don't ever buy the wrong part by taking the Storm LED panel and swap it with the Thunder because it's not going to work. If you look at the back of the panel, it says it's totally different from the Thunder or the DT3. So please do not buy the wrong part to replace the Thunder, okay? Everything from here to the top, it's all the same. So if you actually do look at the new panel right here, this control module is actually much more sturdy because it's made of aluminium. It's so much more prettier in a way because it has the LED lights running around it with the button lit up and stuff like that. But what is most satisfying is that the wires are now thicker, so you do not have a problem with which is what is pretty common in the previous Dualtron where your external switch wire, the multi switch has their wires broken internally, or if they have their brake sensor broken internally, or if you have your single dual switch, or whichever, that breaks easily. This is a problem solved because this thing is thick, so it's not going to break so simply. So everything has a connector of its own, so that makes replacing very simple. There is no need to cut any wires, there is no need to do anything. All you have to do is just unplug it and plug it back in.
Thank you for watching our complete teardown of the Dualtron Storm Part 1 video. You know the drill, like and subscribe to us, and we'll see you in Part 2. Bye!